I am so fired up about this week's episode. We sit down with Rick Hogg, the owner of War HOGG Tactical. He's a 29-year U.S. Army Special Operations combat veteran, just an amazing individual doing amazing things, which we're all about. We met a couple years ago on social media, and have been friends ever since. So listen up to this week's episode of One Step Further. Hey, welcome back to One Step Further. I am Justin Arnold. This is a podcast that we bring to you every week to take things that you may or may not be doing, take them a step further, guide you. And we always have neat guests on here that might be bringing you value to life. Today we have Rick here. Rick, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us what you do, tell you how maybe even we met, and just a little background.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, Justin. Hey, guys. So my name's Rick Hogg. I'm with War HOGG Tactical. I'm a 29-year U.S. Army Special Operations combat veteran. I've taken my time as a Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat Instructor in my 13 combat deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan, and I've harnessed War HOGG Tactical. We provide mobile firearms, tactical, and canine training to law-abiding citizens, military, and law enforcement agencies. We also have a canine product line we're launching. We've got a couple instructional DVDs via Panteo Productions, and then we also consult for both the defense and firearms industry.
Wow. Yeah. See, so I met him on Instagram, I want to say about a year ago. And I was so enamored that he was using tactical stuff. So he was using like kettlebells and weights and mixing it in with, again, firearms. And I was really drawn to that. And he's a man of faith, which I am. And, you know, I come from the Midwest, for those that don't know me, here out in New York. And for me being a gym guy, like I've always been fascinated with firearms. I used to go deer hunting, something I missed. So like to see that mixed together was just something I was enamored about. And I might be surprising some of my listeners by this, but that's what attracted me to you. And I just think it's neat what you're doing. And now my wife's come to really like what you're doing. So for sure.
Yeah. And if you notice, Justin, you know, with the whole firearms and fitness, if you want to say, so we've opened up a whole new spectrum. So if you kind of saw my post yesterday, here I am out in the garage, throwing my brute force bag around. And of course I got my rack and all the other stuff in there, but I'm actually doing firearms training via airsoft, which a lot of people roll their eyes and think about the kids running around out in the woods shooting each other. And I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal supplemental tool to your firearms training. So, you know, crazy times like we've got, or even potentially something you could think about as a gym owner. Hey man, I'm stuck at the house. I can't get out. It's dark, dirty, whatever the case may be. I can still go to the garage, get my workout in, and oh, by the way, do my supplemental firearms training as well.
Yeah. What got you started and all that? Like where'd that come from? Like, you know, you're coming, you said Iraq and you're a special forces. Like where did all this, like, where did your business idea, your vision, like where did all this come from?
So my business idea was actually harnessed, or I should say it was solidified back in 2002. So I had been training firearms, you know, pretty much my entire adult life, special operations career, however you want to look at it. But when I was at the Advanced Urban Combat Committee, this was prior to 9/11. So in essence, we didn't realize we were training guys for war. It winds up 7 Special Forces group who I was assigned to. They were the second in the hopper after 5th group going to Afghanistan. And when my mates came back from that and said, hey man, that stuff you taught me saved my life, that was the hook setter. And I'm like, gotcha. So obviously from there, I ended up I retired in 2017, but the thought was always there. Hey, I'm going to have a firearms training company when I get out. So a lot of people go, oh, you just got out and just jumped into this. Nope. Trust me, it was in motion many, many years prior to me retiring.
See, I think that's fascinating. So what I hear too, it's like, man, how can I better people's lives? How can I give more and serve more? It wasn't like, you know, that's why I love people like you. It's always about what can we do to be more and just help people around us. And that's what it sounds like it fired you up, right? I mean, that's what kind of ignited that a little bit. So really stuff. And like I said, my wife's been really interested in what you're doing. So do you, like, explain a little bit more about what you do and like some events. I know you got something coming up here this summer. Is there stuff for women that are interested in this? Are you doing anything virtually? So there's a couple things I'd love to chat about today too.
Yeah. So, you know, we're trying to fix, you know, I basically ended my classes down in South Carolina just because of all this Corona stuff going on. We're going to pick back up down in South Carolina, 30-31 May. We're going to do another War HOGG pistol class. As far as the ladies go, it's open enrollment, and I've had ladies in my classes, whether it's lady civilians, lady law enforcement, lady military, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
it's not separated, so it's intermingled. So it's
Yeah. So
girls,
so
guys. Cool.
yep. So an open enrollment is just that. You go to warhog.com, you see the class date, you click on it, and then, I give you a whole list of, hey, here's the equipment you need to bring down to the class, and then we run the class. But yeah, I love to see my ladies out there just because, again, everything's kind of attached when you think about it. So I can remember my 13-year-old daughter. I'll never forget the day. It was, in October kind of evening, the sun was starting to go down. It was starting to cool off, and she wanted to go shoot my 45 caliber handgun. And she shot that round, and she'd been shooting for a long time up to this point, but typically had been on a 9mm, but she wanted to shoot the 45, and she felt the heat come off. And she was like, the thing that caught me, she's like, I feel empowered. And I'm like,
yeah, I think that's my wife when she's going to like ranges and stuff like that and learn some of this. So, and like the first time I ever shot anything, I want to say I was like 12 or 13, and I was that same feeling. And I'm not gonna lie, look, Rick, you can make fun of me. First time I ever killed an animal, I cried. But it was also like a level of excitement. it was like
no, man.
Bambi. But wait, there was this excitement. But we used the whole thing. Like for those that are listening right now, I can't believe you did that, Dustin. Like, that's the first time I ever tasted venison, and I loved it, and I've loved it ever since. And we literally we used every little bit of piece. I made bone broth out of it. I remember that was that hide was in my room on my floor. Like it was really cool feeling, and it made me feel like, I don't know how to put it. Like it made me connected to planet Earth a little bit more too. When we see it's not like you're going out there where people might misinterpret some of these things. So I definitely can relate to that feeling of sense of power. But it's also like, for those that aren't listening, like I went through courses, I learned proper gun safety. I did all the right things. It wasn't like my dad just took me out back and said, here you go. So, and that's what I love about what he's doing is it's about doing the right thing and teaching safety and teaching proper use of it all. So for sure. So to get back on track, has COVID affected you at all? Are you doing anything virtually with all of this?
We're not really doing anything virtual. I still try to keep up my Instagram where I'm putting out little tips. We put stuff on YouTube. But again, it's like anything else as an entrepreneur trying to figure things out. So how do you get a virtual based training session? Can you do it? I'm sure you can, but with everything else I had going on, because as far as COVID goes, yes, I've been affected as far as my open enrollment classes, and we've had to kind of retweak the entire schedule. But we still got our videos that we're doing with Panteo. So there's a different, I guess, way to get the information. So, Panteo's got the digital download, the streaming, and the DVDs. We also got the DVDs on warhog.com. So that is a tool or an avenue, if you want to say, for some virtual training, although I'm not there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a similar thing here. Like I had to, I'm a brick and mortar kind of trainer for, just to let, if and this was a huge adjustment because I do a lot of special populations, post-physical therapy, rehab, a lot of functional work. Lots of it takes hands-on instructional stuff. And so navigating through the water. So where I have literally tried to do things is I am still doing virtual personal training. I will write up programming for those that I've worked with in the past, but I've kind of stayed clear from these mass-produced programs because I think everything should be customized and personalized. So again, navigating, not the most ideal situation. Looking forward to going back to the newish normal, which hopefully we are better out from all this. As far as that, have you learned anything during this process as far as personally, professionally? Have you looked at opportunity? Chat about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some great opportunities. So it's given me a chance, obviously not being on the road so much, to harness kind of some of my business partners out there. And I use the word partners, so I look at any type of relationship I'm establishing with somebody in the industry as a partnership. Mm-hmm. So it's both, hey, we give and take, go back and forth. And really, I think one of the best ones we've harnessed, and there's been a bunch, but we're partnered with Killcliff.
Cool.
And
awesome.
Yeah. So Killcliff reached out the other day. So we ended up doing kind of a salute to America Zoom call the other day it's supposed to stream this weekend, but again, it's referenced towards Memorial Day. And I just think it's important that people understand there's a difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. So Memorial Day is the day, and it's, for some of us, it's every day, but for the nation, it's a day we set aside to honor our fallen.
New
So
normal.
we kind of,
So we do these
hey,
things when we can. For those that are listening and can't see, my daughter is here, my kids are here, so this is part of it. So, anyways, go ahead.
yeah, no, it's all good. But no, they reached out, to a bunch of us and just wanted to get some insight into, hey, what's our thoughts on Memorial Day? Got a little emotional, which it usually does, because again, I had a good friend of mine, Joe Andres, killed in 2005 on Christmas Eve.
I hear that.
And I appreciate it, brother. But the thing is, I just shared the story, and it wasn't so much his actions on the battlefield as it was, I dubbed him the Baghdad Christmas cake thief. So I kept finding these Christmas cakes, because back in those days, they were packaged 2 to a pack.
Mm-hmm.
He would eat one and then stick one somewhere in my kit, whether it was in my bed, in my boot, in my vest, wherever. And I would just find these things. And really the surreal part was I caught Joe a couple hours before he was killed. No. So it's one of those traditions that we carry on. And anytime I get a chance to be on a podcast or whatever, even like my profile of Courage with Pantio, we talk about that, because one, it helps me heal. But then 2, it's so the viewers out there know, hey, if you take away nothing else, think about this Memorial Day, if you can remember the name Joe Andres, and then if you can remember, about the whole Christmas cake thing. And again, we're not super cakey people, but I'll give you an example. I still got my box left over from.
Oh, wow.
So my wife found these, and these are more, 4th of July ones. But again, she bought these things.
For those that are listening, again, these are Little Debbie red, white, and blue snack cakes.
Yeah. So, but the point is, and I know people going, man, you eat that crap. It's like, here's the thing. We do, but there's a rule. You can only eat one. So you eat one, and then you have to share it. And that's how we remember Joe. And God bless my wife's soul, man. I mean, fantastic woman to be with me as many years and deployments and everything else. But she did that thinking of, that's how we honor Joe.
That's awesome, man. And like you talk about this, I'm a trainer, and like I tell people to live within that 80-20. We work with people on developing healthy lifestyle habits. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
if you live in fear of food, so I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like that one cake or whatever is not going to be the end all do all. In fact, it makes you feel good at the moment. And if you're celebrating somebody's life, and I think that's something noble, and if that's part of it, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's the other thing, like that's one thing I try to teach people. There's an unhealthy healthy just like there is unhealthy. There's an unhealthy healthy, and there's the extremes. I've been through that, and it's all about that balance now, and just it's about loving yourself right now. And then if you want to improve, for sure, just keep moving that needle, keep doing those daily slight edge tasks to move that. So I think that's great. I think that's great what you're doing. So,
Justin, you hit on something. I just want to capitalize on this real quick, right?
Ahead.
So there's a lot of people out there, and kind of what I see, but I don't know if you want to say just lack of self-esteem or whatever the case may be, but you see a lot of people that aren't really in a good place. And again, just another message I like to share. So I think it's important that people understand, not in an arrogance way, but just in a positive self-confidence way. If you ask yourself this question, who's the best person in the room? There'll be people that hesitate or question, well, is it you? Is it him? Is it whoever? And I always go back to, it's me. And it's not in a self-arrogance way. It's just in a self-confidence.
No.
And if people go, hey, I'm the best person in the room, and then you take it a step further and you go, hey, what can't you do? And you go, there's nothing I can't do. You're a realist and go, I may not be the best, but there's nothing I can't do. It just helps instill that self-confidence. So like you're saying, when you're looking at your total lifestyle, you kind of give yourself a boost and go, hey, you know what? Maybe I got a couple extra pounds to shed, or maybe I'm recovering from an injury, or whatever the case may be. You just keep trucking at it each and every day. And trust me, you'll get there.
I agree that it's something actually, for those that don't know, it's something I teach my kids every day. Love God, love others. But before you can even do any of that, you got to love yourself, and you got to put yourself on high regard. And I don't think it's wrong to be selfish for selfless reason, like what you talked about. it's hard. It's like people are looking for love in other relationships or looking for self-worth in other people. But as you and I know, it's like we find it in the man up above, and we've got to find it in ourselves first, because if you don't, you'll never find it anywhere else. It's like you'll just find these little fireworks, you'll find these little shots, but if you're looking for lasting, you got to love yourself and first.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you brought that up. It's something like you really got to instill, and like even as an adult, you got to tell yourself that every day. That's why, like for me, every morning, I would love to hear kind of if you get what your discipline looks like every day, because you seem like, especially coming from a military background, very disciplined. But like that's one of the, after I get my like tea and my little herbal supplements in the morning, I go into like 10 minutes of just Bible study, Bible reading, and then I go into like personal development. I do some movement, so that like grounds my day. And I've been doing that literally. I love the Bible app that I've been using, and it tracks like how long you've been in it. It was cool this morning because I haven't really looked at that number, and it's been like exactly 105 straight weeks I've opened up that and read it, and it's just like, man, I'm on a really good trend. And I can see how those little things that may not seem like much have kept, it's like compounding interest, have led to where I am now. And I have people ask me, even during this COVID, while I was stressing at the beginning, I've had people reach out to me for the first time and be like, I want to hear about Jesus. Like me, I'm not a
Mhm.
pastor. I'm just a guy that runs a gym. At least that's what I was thinking. And it's like, I still feel very new, but in my faith, even though I've been, a Christian for a long time, it's just, it was pretty cool. So I would love to hear kind of your morning routine, where God's kind of brought you through there. If you want to talk about it, if you feel
No,
comfortable. Yeah.
dude, here's the thing. I've got no problem, talking about God, talking about faith. And I'll solidify this first, because people always question, I won't say they always question, but people will question your faith. They go, well, how do you know there's God? And I sit there and go, it's easy, because I'm here. Because of divine intervention, and especially from the things that's happened with me overseas, I should not be on the face of this earth. But there's been numerous incidences where I walked away, and the key part being unscathed. And you got to sit there and go, there's only one reason. So that's just kind of, and when you tell people that, they'll step back and go, really? It's like, yeah, man. So that's, and I've been a Christian I don't say all my life. I'm sure at some point you got to make a mental choice, but, you know, that solidifies, and that's what I try to pass on to people. So when they question, you sit there and go, hey, that's just me, take a look. But really something that's kind of neat that's happened during this. And again, looking at your morning devotionals and stuff like that. So me and my wife used to listen to Proverbs 31. It used to be audio. Now it went to, you have to read it, but really our local church, Man of Church, here in North Carolina, they're doing every morning, 5:30, they're launching like a little snippet, YouTube devotional. So that's been a good thing. And hopefully they keep that going once everything goes back. But that's kind of where I turn to get kind of, if you want to say that, that morning shot of Jesus, for lack of better terms.
No, I mean, I think it's we've talked about this a lot with people I've talked with on the podcast, is like, how you begin in your day can seriously set the tone. So, I mean, I won't dive too deep in it, but I always say you can always add your little two things, but like how you, every morning we all wake up and our mind, whether we believe it or not, is subconsciously, maybe even consciously going through something, thinking about something. And you can make a decision on which curve you're going to go. Are you going to curve up, or are you going to curve it down? Like, so if we're going to go down like a sad case of the Mondays, I hate my life, I hate my wife, I hate my job, or is it going to be like compounding up? You can either go one way. There is no straight line, in my opinion. But yeah, if you want to add to that, but I want to also say, like, I love what you said about, what you've been through in God. Cause like, well, I don't have a military background. You ask my wife, you ask anybody close to me, my mother, in fact, like, you were either born a cat because you've blown through your 9 lives. And I could say the same thing from bad accidents. I have 3 fractured vertebrae in my neck. I shouldn't even really be walking. So by the grace of God, I'm walking, I'm here, I'm in this world. And I realize it's all been to build me back up on never setting limits. And like, you can get through a lot of these pains or immobilities, or being in a neck brace, or having your shoulder ripped, all 4 rotator cuffs, and be like, how do you do? You're a genetic freak. No, but I just know how to get there. And that's my job to teach you. But if I didn't go through a lot of these things, I wouldn't be able to teach the population that I teach now to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like through some weird thing. It's like, if I didn't go through that, I know it's all because of God that's got me through that, but putting your faith, he's got me through this COVID too, because I was in some dark place in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk on some of that for sure, but I wanted to share that real quick.
No, I do, Justin. I think here's the key part, right? And again, I go back to a lot of my faith building actually comes from man and their teachings there, right? So Michael Fletcher, who's the pastor there, he had this one sermon series. And really, if you think about this, you talk about that curve when you first wake up. Which way am I going? Up or down? If you do this, and to the listeners out there, here's what I kind of challenge you. As soon as your eyes open, you take that first deep breath, breathe it in, blow it out, and thank God that you're alive and ask him for his direction and guidance for the day. Boom.
Well, simple, right?
Simple. You're started. And then where else can you go? Up. You know what I'm saying? You've already asked him, you've thanked him for being alive. It's like you're letting him into yourself. It's like, hey, Lord, guide me where we're going today. So just, hopefully that helps. Go ahead.
I do something similar. I've started just because I sometimes get distracted. So I'll actually some people count, and do the meditative. I actually just, as I'm breathing, I'm breathing in Jesus and I'm breathing out sin or pain. Like those are the kinds of things. And dude, it's amazing the feeling that comes over me. So same idea, and just thank him for another day and give me guidance. Cause that's something I've been every day, guide me towards, what you want me to do today. Guide me. Cause there's so much information. There's so much, I think why people never get started. And for example, you're 29, you're still really young. You've got this amazing thing going. You've got a huge following. If you're not already following you guys, I'll put links below because you should follow this guy for sure. But it's there's so much out there that people never even get started. And I think that's the thing. If you have a guiding force behind you, to do good things, those doors are open, and then it just takes him also to help you go. I look at kind of God, and you could correct me if you have a different way, but I kind of look at God as like that coach. He's not going to do the work for you. You still got to get on the field. You still got to do, but he's going to definitely always be there. Or like a father, he's always going to be there for you to ask or teach or train or coach, but you still got to put in the work. So that's how I kind of look at it for sure.
Totally. I'm totally with you, brother. But here's the thing. You hit the key point. You have to ask, right? And a lot of people, and again, I'm truly blessed to go to a great church and have a great pastor that puts out super information, but it's like this, right? Totally changed kind of the idea how I pray. So a lot of people think it's got to be some type of ritualistic and, pray for everybody but me. And it's like, no way, man. Right now, hey, if you're in a pinch, you wake up, you go, man, my life's horrible. Woe is me. Big deep breath, and just pray to God. Say, God, talk to him like he's your friend. Give me the guidance. Give me the direction. Give me the strength. Point me in the direction you want me to go. Help me do this. Help me achieve this. I want my business to excel. Increase my friendships. Build my bonds with my kids, my wife. Whatever you want. But too many people think of it as some type of ritualistic. I have to say this certain thing or whatever.
So that's what I tell people. The difference between Christianity and religion is just relationships. And that's what I'm all about in real life, and who shouldn't be, especially now more than ever. It's just a relationship, and you just talked about it. It's real simple. And for those that are listening that haven't even tried faith or new to faith and wow, that's where it starts. And it feels weird at first, but then man, this feeling you get over if you do it pretty regularly, it's pretty amazing. And I think people are looking for it because meditation and a lot of these things out there now, you're literally doing it without the God. So that's how I look at it. One other thing I wanted to chat about is we were just talking right before we hit the record button here was I was telling him I like to keep these under 20 minutes because I feel like that's what people need. But he pointed out some good things that I do in my life. And I want to touch also on I've been told in my life, block out everything, have a clear cutoff time. But man, I want you to talk about this because you gave some good pointers and tips on why we shouldn't always have clear cutoffs, why we shouldn't always this is where we're going to be. Go ahead and it was awesome. It was enlightening, and it reminded me of some of the things I tell myself, but sometimes we forget them and we need reminders.
Yeah. So it was just one of those that, especially for the podcast, what if things are going, so I don't know how long we've been talking deep diving, as far as God and Jesus and stuff like that, but
25 minutes right now. So
yeah. So is it God talking to us going, hey man, I want you to get out on this platform and get more information? So what would have happened if, you went back and chopped this thing earlier, to go, hey, we're done at 20 minutes. Now we missed all this and potentially, missed reaching some people or stuff like that. Or what if you've got that person? Because again, I always tell, my circle, hey man, if you need me, call me. So what if I sit there and go, Justin, I only got 5 minutes, but Justin needs 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. Or Justin's sitting there going, man, I don't know if life's worth it today. And I cut him short or missed the mark,
Dude,
and especially for the community I live in, suicide it happens, man. And I've had friends of mine kill themselves.
yeah.
And I've looked back through that text traffic going, where did I miss it? So I just, yes, you want to do your due diligence with your time. Don't get me wrong. But at the same token, you don't want to sit there and short people that might need that help or might need what's going on or guidance, direction, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, yeah, value your time, but also value others. And if they need your time or that is needed, like you pointed out the spectrum of that suicide. Like, what if you just listening to somebody you don't even know until you're truly listening and you're truly focused on them, that they're going through something that if you weren't their vehicle right now to release whatever they're talking about, yeah, it could ultimately end in something suicide, but it could also be something beneficial to you. So like, yeah, value your time, but maybe it's, so something, the tip for those that are listening that are like, okay, they tell somebody clear cut off 12:30. Maybe always give yourself 15 minutes wiggle room so you're not stressing or worrying about the next thing you got to get to, or even a half an hour in between everything. I know here in my gym, that's what I'm going to be doing anyways, moving forward, just to give people safety, is like we're giving about a 15-20 minute window in between clients, but it's also going to be your time to reflect. And I could probably connect more, because one cool thing that has really happened on these virtual training sessions that I never thought about because I was a little resistant was it's turned into where I've always been like a whole body approach to health, but it's gotten deeper. People have gotten more comfortable and they've almost turned into life coaching situations. And what you talked about now, not necessarily suicide, but definitely some mental health and depression. Some clients are going through that. A workout's just not going to cut it. Helping them with nutrition is not going to cut it. But spending 15 minutes somewhere in between that workout session or nutritional coaching session where we just talk or I just listen, which has improved me because I've been told I need to listen better. So it's been a cool thing for everyone involved. And I'm grateful again. God checked me on that one because I was resistant. He's like, just give it time, buddy. I'll give it time.
But Justin, on that, it's not always about suicide, right? And I just say that because it is, rampant in the veteran population. But, it's like I had a buddy of mine. He threw out one little thing to me that spiked my, it wasn't like he was suicidal. Was there a little bit of depression going on with some, stuff he was battling with? Yep. But all he said was one little quick thing. And I picked up on, I'm like, hey dude, we got to dig a little deeper. Hey, what's going on? And granted, there was that, and the problem is us as alphas, and I've pretty much thrown my emotions out there on a public forum. People have seen it. Like I said, if you watch my Panteo production Profile of Courage, I get very emotional there. Had no intent to, but guys need to understand, what? It's okay to get emotional. We carry some baggage with us. It makes us no less of a man, no less of a warrior, no less of anything. But at the same token, guys need to understand, reach out to those that can help. And whether it's you, me, whoever, find that person, that confidant. Hey, if you got struggles in your life, talk to somebody. And I'm not saying I'm any type of school trained therapist, psychologist, any of that. I'm just a dude that's experienced life, and I'll give you the clear cut, no BS essence, what I think.
I think that's great. Like, for those that missed that, I think it's great coming from, this guy's a man's man, at least, in the world's view, but definitely I think it takes a man to show emotion, to cry. I think it's awesome that you said that, because I know very many people, especially with military backgrounds in my family and stuff, that and I've known friends of mine that literally have told their sons, don't cry, don't show emotion, have said completely the opposite of what you said. And we know that that's not the best thing to do. Like, that's what pent up aggression done. There's been studies. I don't know if you know about this. There's actually been studies on that where pent up aggression for males, especially in only child homes, have led to serious things. I think they did a study on, for example, serial killers, and a lot of things that they had in common is that they didn't play or wrestle around with a sibling. and they weren't allowed to show emotion in their home. So it's like, I'm not saying that if you do that in your home, they're going to lead to the scenario, but that just shows you like it's okay to show it. And that's cool that somebody like yourself said that. So.
Right. It's how you show it, how you deal with it. So like in my case, I didn't mourn for my dead friend for over 11 years. Very unhealthy. That's just sitting in there. And then of course you take TBIs and everything else going on. It's not good for the brain, so there comes a point of, now I've got to be an honest broker. Had I been emotional back then, would that have affected me, on my years to come? I don't know. Things worked out the way they worked out, but I think it's important that, be able to talk, be able to sit there and share with others. That's what's going to make you better and stronger and, build you up versus just kind of clacking you at the ankles, busting you down.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that. Anything else you'd like to share about like War HOGG Tactical or things you guys are doing or anything you'd like to kind of one message you get out there to take people's life one step further?
Well, so a couple things. Here's the thing, guys, warhog.com, WARHO 2Gs. That's our website, that's got all of our class info on there. Instagram, we're on there. That's at War HOGG Tactical. Same thing with Facebook, which really doesn't work that well, and YouTube. But again, I focus more to kind of the fitness firearm stuff.
Love it, guys. Gotta check him out. He's cool.
Yeah, my different podcasts depending on the platform. So obviously I've got my own, which is On the Range podcast. I do with pretty much my lifelong friend, old Mark Kelly. We were in the 82nd together. So we just started that up with all this Corona stuff going on. But each one's got different things. So you can Google search Rick and find the different podcasts I've been on. But different ones will have different inputs as far as, information. But really at the end of the day, guys, here's the deal. I believe God put me here on this earth as a helper, and yes, I look at how do I help people? I give you my 2 cents as far as my experiences. How do I think to make you better? Obviously, God forbid, I don't want anyone to ever have to use their firearm to defend themselves. But if they do, at least you've got the skill to do it, to either defend yourself or your family members, and really slap some fitness in there. Because again, we all know that, hey, if we keep ourselves fit, that's going to add to our longevity, for both ourselves, our family, and whatever God has for us.
Yeah, that's what I say at the end of all my YouTube is move better, feel better, you ultimately live better. So I love that, man. Well, anything else you'd like to say as far as, we've said so many nuggets. So I think we've given people plenty of stuff to take their life further. But if there's anything you'd like to add as far as taking people's one life further, whether it be faith, personally, professionally, mentally, emotionally, whichever, man.
Yeah, here's the final thing, guys. We'll just recap it as this. Here's the deal. I don't care if you're in a good place, bad place, whatever. Try to make yourself just incrementally better each day. If you can make yourself just 1%, don't look at, hey, I've got to go from 0 to 100. Make yourself incrementally better, 1% each day, and man, you're going to crush life.
I think that's key. Yeah, 1%. I think we are in this fast-paced microwave firework, call it what you will, life that we only see the end result of people's success or what we deem success. We don't really realize all the steps it took to get there. And that's what I talk about, that curve. We don't really see, there is no straight line. If you think you're on a straight line, you're not. If you feel like you're not going anywhere, you're probably going down. But you'll know if you're going up. For example, if you're spending 5 minutes on personal development, 5 minutes on Bible reading, 5 minutes on exercise even, and you did 0 the day before, that's that 1%. Yeah. And 1% has compounding interest to it. And that's what he's talking about. And then you look back a year from now, and I'm a big fan of writing things down, data, journaling, whatever, because then know, because we can't keep it all up in our minds. But yeah, that 1%, I love that. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to put a bunch of connections, links, information on this guy. You got to check him out below. But as always, if you like this, like, share, subscribe to our podcast. Get out to those that really need to listen to stuff like this. And always, thanks for tuning in and supporting us. Take care.